Hey, I'm Siobhan, community cultivator and founder of BEFREE Project. The BEFREE Project podcast was created for community, sisterhood, and personal growth. Each week, you'll be inspired and motivated to do the work to show up for yourself so you too can feel fulfilled and be free. Now grab a pen and a notebook and let's get into the show. The best decision that you can make today is joining the BEFREE Inner Circle at BEFREEInnerCircle.com, a community for like-minded women to find their forever friends and get accountability to do their personal growth work. Your membership includes a private, exclusive community of women who are not only showing up for themselves, but for one another. Weekly live events with me and or guest speakers, daily accountability so this way you can finally get stuff done, mentorship from yours truly, and so much more. Now, there's no long-term commitment and you can cancel at any time. However, I can guarantee the moment you join, you're going to feel a warm embrace and you're going to want to stick around. Every single member of the BEFREE Inner Circle will walk away with clarity, fulfillment, and confidence because guess what? When you're around me, you're going to win. So come and grow inside the BEFREE Inner Circle at BEFREEInnerCircle.com. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the BEFREE Project podcast. You already know I am happy that you are here again for another week. Okay, so what I am loving this week is London Fog Lattes, specifically from a coffee bar here in Cleveland called the Copper Moon. All right, so you already know there's going to be a little story to this. Several weeks ago, I went to go see The Lion King on Broadway. Hands down, the best musical ever. If it comes to your town, I highly recommend seeing it. I've seen it twice, and each time I'm just blown away. Anywho, I stayed downtown at a hotel, so the following day I needed coffee. And so I go to the Yelp app to find a coffee place close to me because I wasn't in the mood for Starbucks. And that's when I found the Copper Moon. And the reason that I chose to go there is because I don't know if y'all know this about me, but reviews and recommendations are huge. And so I saw that the coffee bar had 5 stars and like almost 60 reviews at that time. And everyone kept saying how amazing the coffee was and how kind and personable the owner was. So I'm like, oh, this is a perfect place to go to. So I go there and I said, I want to try the London Fog Latte. I had it a few weeks ago with my friend at brunch and I wanted to experience it at this new coffee bar. And when I tell you, it was absolutely delicious. And if you've never had a London Fog Latte, basically it is Earl Grey tea, your choice of milk. I choose oat milk. They use lavender, they use honey, and sometimes vanilla, right? And so he made it for me. The owner's name is James, and it was so good. And he even added espresso, which that's the extra twist to it. And I love it so much so that I have been driving about 20 minutes from my home to this coffee bar to get this London Fog Latte several times a week. It's that delicious. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend getting a London Fog Latte in your area. If you're in Cleveland, definitely check out the Copper Moon. Let them know that Siobhan sent you. And let me know. Shoot me a DM if you too love London Fog Lattes. Let me know on the gram. All right, so let's get into today's episode, which is a lot can happen in a year. And this may be an emotional episode for me based on what I'm going to share with you today. If you've been following my podcast, if you've been following my work for any length of time, and you've heard my story, this is going to resonate with you as well. I highly recommend that you have your notebook out so that you can take notes. So whatever gems you pick up, you can jot down and reflect on later. And of course, I want you to write down your affirmation and your journal prompt for the week. So let's get into it. A lot can happen in a year. I will say 2020 felt like 5 years in one. And there was so much growth, so much revelation, so many tears, so much that happened last year that I just knew 2021 was going to be my year. I just felt like, I went through a lot in 2020. 2021 is going to be it for me. And it has been it, but it has been another eye-opening, reflective year. And I've had so many experiences that I could have never imagined. There's been so much growth. And specifically, I will say in my company, and this is a new revelation that I recently got around really doing the work and separating myself from my company and having my own identity, which I'm going to do a whole podcast episode on that. But that was a big turning point for me that I just got that information or reflection or I would say reflection a few weeks ago. But there's been so much growth in my company, how I want to show up, how I want to expand the Be Free Inner Circle, the vision that I have for my company, so much growth just in my work. But in my personal life, there has been some life altering, life changing moments that has shifted so much for me. And you couldn't have paid me $1 million for the experience that I'm about to share with you. And I did not think that I was going to share this so soon, but it is on my heart. And it happened a couple of weeks ago that I know that if you've been following my work, then you will appreciate this and you will understand how so much can change in just a year. So several weeks ago, I was at yoga and it was a Friday actually. And I had got a text from my mother. And this, I'm telling you, I'm going to be emotional during this episode. So just stay with me. But I got a text from my mother. She was texting me to give me her new phone number. And I had text back and I said, okay, thank you. And that was right before yoga practice. Fast forward to yoga practice is over. And I look at my phone and I have several messages. And one of the messages was from my mother again. And she apologized to me. And if you know my story with mother wounds and all the work that I've been doing, whether it's been my personal growth work or my therapy, then you know that this is a significant moment for me. And so I read the text and she gave me more of her backstory that I did not know pre that text. And she said, she didn't just say, I'm sorry. She said, I am so very sorry. And I want to build a relationship with you and my grandchildren. Love you always. And after I finished reading that text, I curled up in a ball on my yoga mat and I cried. And there was one lady in the room at the time, and she said, are you okay? And I said, yes. And I just stayed there and I cried. And my friend who teaches the class, she said, you can stay here as long as you need to. Eventually, I was able to get up off my mat, get my things together. And I was walking out and my friend was like, is everything okay? And I said, my mother apologized. And I just cried in her arms, and she knew my story, so she understood what this meant for me. And then we sat out on a bench, and she just held me, and I just cried because I didn't expect that. I had come to a place in my life where I didn't need the apology. I didn't need the acknowledgement. I had done so much work. I was good. And the illustration that has been going on in my mind is almost like my life had come to this circle. And there was 1/3 of the circle that wasn't yet complete, right? And I was okay living with an incomplete circle because I understood where my mother was. I understood that this is just my life. When my mother apologized, that 1/3 of that empty circle was now complete and everything had come full circle. And I could feel that awe in my body. I could feel like there was a shock to my nervous system. The reason that I titled this episode, A Lot Can Happen in a Year, is because in 2020, I went to a conference in March in Toronto. And I remember, and I did a podcast episode on this. So if you go back and you listen to the episode from Rise to Reiki Part 1 and Part 2, I talk about this in great detail. But at that conference, or when I got home from that conference, that's when it hit me to have more compassion for my mother. And that I remember telling my daughter, I said, the next time that I see my mother, I'm going to hug her and I'm going to tell her I love her. I didn't get that opportunity until October of 2020. And I saw my mother at my grandmother's house and I gave her a hug and I told her I loved her. Fast forward to October of 2021, this year, my mother texted me and she apologized. That's why everything has come full circle for me. And when I say doing the work, it works. It works. I was in therapy. I have been doing my inner work. I changed my 95% of the people that I spend my life with and my time with. I did deeper personal growth work, all of that to get an apology from my mother that I didn't know that I needed. That happened exactly a year later from when I hugged her and told her I loved her. Had I not been doing my work, had I not expressed compassion, had I not showed up for myself, had I not changed my friendship circle, had I not done my part, I wouldn't have got that apology. I shifted something in the universe because I did my work. And as I was doing my work, something shifted in my mother where that day she said, I got to tell my daughter that I'm so very sorry. And I have been processing that information for the last several weeks because I now understand what it looks like to give someone else compassion. And I now understand that it was never about me. And the core belief that I had that I was not good enough, I've been saying that affirmation that I am more than good enough and I get better every day. I've been saying that affirmation for years. And it wasn't until my mother apologized that I now know it. It was never about me. I've always been good enough. I've always been enough just as I am. And I had no clue. I didn't even think about getting an apology from her. I just kept living my life doing my work. And God knew that in order for me to go to the next level, that this apology would shift something in me. I'm sharing this to say, again, doing the work, it works. And I don't just say that just to be saying it. I am truly a living example of what it looks like to do the work. A lot can happen in a year. Your life can look completely different in a year. Look at what the pandemic has done to us. Look at what the pandemic has showed us. What if today you chose yourself? What if today you put yourself first? What if today you decided that you wanted to grow and be fulfilled in your life? What if today you chose to be free? What if today you could have a cheerleader like me in your corner, cheering you on, rooting you on for you to win? What if you had a community of Black women and women of color in your corner supporting you to do the work? What if today you chose to show up for yourself in the biggest way possible? What if today you could have your 95%? And what I mean by that, if you haven't listened to that episode of my podcast, there's a quote by Rachel Rodgers that says, 95% of the people that you spend your time with will determine your success or your failure. Your 95% is inside the BEFREE inner circle, right? And I say that to say I have curated and cultivated a space for women just like you to do your work. So this time next year, your life could be different because you are investing in yourself. You will be in a space with women who will hold space for you, who will not judge you, who will support you, who will hold you accountable, who will celebrate you. Your life will not look different if you keep doing the same thing. And you've listened to this podcast week after week after week. You've heard the 7 stories of the women that I shared and how they've been in the community for a year or more and how their life is different. I didn't share those stories just because. I shared them to prove to you that a lot can change in a year. And I don't want you just to listen to me, but you heard it from women who are inside the BEFREE inner circle. And just think about if you make a commitment to yourself that you will decide to put you first and surround yourself with women like you to do your work. I want the same for you, just like the interviews that I shared from the women inside the BEFREE inner circle. I shared those stories with you to let you know that it is possible to change your life and that so much can change in a year when you invest your time, your energy, and your resources to show up and be better for yourself. The doors to the BEFREE inner circle will close in just a few days. Actually, Saturday, November 13th. And they won't open up again until 2022. Today, I want you to decide to put you first. Because as you can see, as I shared this story about my mother, I did not know that doing my work was going to change something in her, but it did. And because she apologized, now there's this new perspective that I have, like this refreshing feeling that I have. And there's so much that's still unfolding. And I want to be a cheerleader in your corner to support you with doing the work because I have my team. My friends are amazing. I have family members that are great in my life. I have great accountability and great support that my 95% is solid and they support me with doing my work. Again, I want the same for you. So if you want your life to be different this time next year, I challenge you today to put you first. I challenge you to join the BEFREE inner circle. You can join the BEFREE inner circle right now at the monthly rate or the annual rate. And I will say that the annual rate is the best investment because that way you're committing to yourself for a year, right? There's some savings that's included in that. You won't have to worry about the month to month and you are signed up for the full year. So then that way we can take this moment and say, oh, this time last year I invested in the BEFREE inner circle and here are all the wins that I have. And I want to be able to interview you on my podcast this time next year and talk about your wins and your growth and how you're being free and finding fulfillment in your life and the beautiful friendships that you've built. I want to be able to interview you on my podcast this time next year. So today, I want you to commit to joining the BEFREE inner circle. Allow me to hold you accountable. Allow me to be your biggest cheerleader. You're going to get so much amazing support from the women inside the community. And again, I want this to be your year. Go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com. Again, you can join as a monthly member or an annual member, whichever you prefer, but make a commitment to yourself. And I promise you, this will be the best decision that you make this year. And the doors will close on Saturday, November 13th, and they will not open up again until 2022. Do not miss this opportunity. Do not say, oh, I'll wait till next time. No. Because that's going to be taken away from your year when your life can be different. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you, and you have to show up for yourself. So again, go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com right now, okay, and become a member today and invest in yourself. Your journal prompt for this week is, Where do you see yourself a year from today? And what support do you need to get there? Your affirmation is, I am going to create a great day. Don't forget, if you want to share your feedback about any podcast episode or ask a question around personal growth and or friendship, call into 216-438-0830. I will play your message live on the air and answer you in real time. And then now I want to shout out my coffee giver of the week, which is Tanya, who's inside the BEFREE Inner Circle. Hey, Tanya. And she treated me to 5 cups of coffee. And she says, enjoy, you deserve it. You changed me for the better. Thank you so much for saying that, Tanya. I adore you, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your personal growth journey. If you too want to treat me to a cup of coffee and my London Fog Lattes, you can click the link in the show notes and you can treat me to 1 cup, 2 cup, 3 cups, whichever you prefer. And I truly, truly, truly appreciate it. Especially if my work has inspired you or motivated you in any kind of way, I greatly appreciate it. Sending you all the love and light, and thank you in advance. As always, I want you to share this episode with a friend and say, hey girl, hey, listen to this podcast and then let's talk about it. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, I would love for you to leave me a 5-star review. The more reviews that I get, the comments and all that jazz, it helps more people see my podcast. So the more the merrier. I would love for you to do that. And until next time, girl, be free. I hope you enjoyed that amazing interview. And now I want to personally invite you to join the BEFREE Inner Circle waitlist. That's right, the doors are currently closed. However, I want you to head over to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, add your name and email address to the list, and when the doors open, you will be the first to know. This will be your last chance to become a member this year. So again, go to BeFreeInnerCircle.com so you don't miss out.